Good afternoon to all the students.
Good
Am I
afternoon.
audible?
Yes,
Okay,
sir, you're
thank you.
audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in yesterday's session, we have gone through the prerequisites for this exception handling. We discussed what actually an error is and what are the two types of errors we have, that is compile time errors and the runtime errors. We have gone through the differences between these compile time errors and runtime errors with some programming examples also. Right. So by this time you might be having clear idea on what these compiler errors are and what these runtime errors are. Is it clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in today's session, we will continue with the same concepts of exceptional handling. Here we'll see what an exception is, and we'll see how we can handle these exceptions in the C++ language. What are the keywords that are used to handle these exceptions in the C++? And we'll see some of the properties of the exception handling along with lot of programming examples, right? So let us start our discussion without any delay. So yesterday we have gone through an exception, right? We can say that a runtime error is called as an exception, right? So an exception by definition is a problem that encounters during the execution of a program, right? Any exception, any error, or anything that makes the program terminate abruptly, or it won't give some output, such type of situations or such type of events, we call them as errors, right? Here also an exception is a problem that arises during the execution of a program. So when you are executing the program, that means during the runtime you may have some problems, and that problem will lead to the termination of the program, or it may lead that you won't get any output from that particular program. So such type of events we call it as the exception. Right. So exceptions are runtime anomalies, or those are also called as abnormal conditions that a program encounters during its execution. This is what we are saying from the starting point, that exception is some abnormal condition or an abnormal event or unusual event that happens during the program execution, and it will ultimately lead to the termination of the program, right? So in C++, exception is a response to an exceptional circumstance that arises while a program is running, such an attempt to divide by zero. Yesterday also we have gone through some of the examples of this runtime errors. Can you please list out the runtime errors? Give me some examples of runtime errors.
Input
Divide by
output.
zero, infinite loop, wrong input, sir.
Right, divide by zero is the classical example of runtime errors, and similarly the infinity loop and undefined objects, IO errors, all these comes under the category of runtime errors, right? So when an exception occurs, how we are going to handle those exceptions will be given under the concept of exception handling in C++ programming language, right? So these exceptions, they provide a mean, or they provide some a way to transfer the control from one part of the program to the another part, right? So you might have seen in the C programming language also that some of the constructs that are available in the C programming language will make the control to jump from one part of the program to another part of the program. Can you please list out those constructs if you know, if you have any idea on it? My question is a simple question, that are there any constructs that are supported in the C programming language which allows the programmer to move the control from one part to another part of the program? Any idea? Yes. Are you there? You please tell me yes or no, whether you know the concepts or not. That I should have an idea, right? So is there any construct in C programming language that can transfer the control or that can change the flow of control from one part of the program to another part of the program? Here I have given some hint. Its functions, okay, it is accepted, but what are the other constructs? So another hint I am giving, based upon the condition. So based upon the condition, if the condition is true, you will execute some part of the code, and if the condition is not true, you will execute some other part of the code. Now tell me, what is that construct called? Do you know anything about this if else?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in the if else construct also, you will be giving a condition, and if the condition is true, you will execute the if part, and if the condition is false, you are going to execute the else part. That means if the condition is true or if the condition is false, you are throwing the control to some other part of the program, right? In the similar manner, here the exceptions also provide a way to transfer the control from one part of a program to another part, right? Is it clear up to this particular point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So again, this particular slide is very, very important concept, right? So as I am saying that it is common that a program may enter into runtime errors. That means it is common that a program may have exceptions. So whenever we have an exception, what is happening? The program will terminate abruptly. Am I right or not? Exceptions will make the program to terminate abruptly. That is what we have seen in the earlier example also. But this time my idea is to make use of some programming constructs or some programming tools or concepts. Thereby I can handle those exceptions in a well defined manner. So whenever I get an exception, I don't want my program to be terminated abruptly. I just want to give a message to the programmer saying that this is a particular error that happened. So you please take care of the necessary recovery actions. So this is the message I want to give to the programmer. So for that purpose, for the purpose of handling the exceptions, or for the purpose of not terminating the program abruptly when an exception arises, the C++ programming language supports the concept of exception handling. Right? How we are going to handle the exceptions? That is nothing but exception handling, right? So the entire exception handling mechanism is based upon three keywords. The three keywords are very, very important. That is try is one keyword, and next one is catch, and the last keyword is throw, right? So we will, if somebody asks you how can you handle the exceptions in C++, you can simply say that by making use of try catch blocks. Right, even throw also we don't use it in a regular manner. So when you want to handle the exceptions, you can handle it by making use of try catch blocks. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But we have three keywords that we will use as a programmer. I will make use of these three keywords for handling the exceptions. That is try, catch and throw. Let us see one by one. Try block, and then we have throw, and then we have catch, right? So what is this try means? It is considered to be a block of statements. What it is? Try is a keyword, but after try keyword you will insert or you will put a block of statements inside the parenthesis, inside not the parenthesis, inside the curly braces. So we will have like this. For example, I use the keyword try followed by some set of statements where I am blocking. So whenever you have the concept of blocking or combining a set of statements, you should use these curly braces. This you might have seen in the C programming language, right? So the curly braces are used to block a set of statements. So after this try keyword, you will have to write some set of statements, and you should combine them and put it inside the set of curly braces. So this entire thing from this try to here, we call it as a try block, right? So this is what the try block is, right? But why do we require this try block? Means, as I told that the try keyword is going to accommodate or is going to combine a set of statements, and we are calling it as a try block. And this particular code will consist of statements where exceptions will be activated or where exceptions will occur. Right, we'll see with examples, but for this point of time, you please just remember that the try block is used to block a set of statements or to combine a set of statements, and out of all these statements in the try block, there may be situations where an exception may arise, right? So if you have any doubt that this particular situation may arise, may give rise to an exception, so you just put that code inside the try block. That's it. That's what I want to say, right? So any doubt on a particular set of statements that it may arise an exception, so you put everything inside the try block, and try block will take care of everything, right? We should write some more code, that not that everything will be taken care by the try block. We should write some other code. We'll see what that is, right? So the simple point which I want to stress at this point is, this try block is a block of code for which particular exceptions will be activated. So my question is, where the exceptions are activated? Is it in try block or catch block? Where are the exceptions activated? Is it in try block or catch block?
Try block.
Try block, right? So try block is nothing but where exceptions are activated. Simple line. And remember that this try block is followed by one or more catch blocks, right? So every try block should have at least one catch block. This is very important point. So every try block should have at least one catch block, and there is no restriction on the number of catch blocks. You can have any number of catch blocks, but remember that every try block should have at least one catch block, right? So we'll see what this catch block is, and then we'll move to the throw statement, right? So coming back to this catch statement, this is the first point and this is the second point. And as I told that whenever we are calling the catch, it is a common thing that we call it as a catch block, right? So by that particular term, you can observe that it is also a set of statements, right, which are blocked. So how do you write a catch, and then you write some set of statements, right? I will modify this catch, but right now you observe that we will use a keyword called catch followed by a set of statements which are blocked inside this set of curly braces. So we call this as the catch block, right? So we know what this catch is, but what is the purpose of this catch? Why we need this catch? Means this catch block is executed when a particular exception is thrown. That means whenever you get an exception, that means the try block is going to activate the exception, right? Whenever you have a doubt that a particular code will activate the exception, you put it in the try, and the catch block is the solution for that exception. We can say it as the solution. So when an exception occurs, what is that you want to do? Whether you want to give a message to the user saying that this is a divide by zero exception, or saying that this is an infinity loop exception, like that. So you can provide that solutions inside the catch block, right? Is it clear? So try block is a block are a place where the exceptions are activated, and the catch block is a block of statements where we have solutions, or it consists of the set of instructions of code that can handle the exception which is activated in the try block. So try block is for activation of the exceptions, and catch block is to find the solutions, or it is used to handle the exceptions. So that is the reason why in the previous discussions also I told that. So if somebody asks you what is the way in which you handle the exceptions, means blindly you can say that by using the try catch blocks. Try catch blocks. This is the reason why I am saying it as try catch blocks only. Try block is used to activate the exception, and catch block is used to give the solution, or it is used to handle the exceptions. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the catch keyword indicates the catching of an exception, right? So once you understand this catch keyword, so whenever you are catching, there should be something that is thrown to the catch. Am I right or not? Without throwing some object, how can you catch it? So there comes the concept of throw, right? And where is the location of this throw? Means this throw keyword is kept inside the try, block. So this is the location of the throw statement. So try catch block is used to handle the exceptions, where try block consists of a set of instructions where the exception gets activated, and catch block consists of the set of statements which can handle the exceptions. But when you observe the term catch, you are catching something, but there should be something to throw, right? So that is done by making use of the throw keyword, and this throw keyword is used to throw the exception. Actually the exception is activated in the try block, but whatever exception you get, you should throw it, right? So that throwing the exception is taken care by this throw keyword. Is it right or not? Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
So the reason why we are throwing this is the try block is especially designed to activate the exceptions. So whenever you have a doubt that an exception may arise, you put it in the try block. Whenever an exception occurs, the try block is not designed to handle the things, right? It is only to activate and throw the exceptions. So whenever the exception gets activated, it will be thrown by using the throw keyword, and the solution will be given inside this catch block, right? Is it clear? So this is the reason why we use the throw keyword. Throw is used to throw an exception, right? It is also used to list the exception that a function throws, but it does not handle itself. Throw is just a keyword to throw the exception. So once you throw the thing, then the corresponding catch block will be used to handle those exceptions, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we will see one more thing, one more modification that I want to make for the catch block. You are clear about this try block and catch block and throw, right? So when an exception is getting activated in the try block, we need to throw it by using the throw keyword. Once it is thrown, it is caught by a corresponding catch block. How many catch blocks can a try block can have?
One or more, sir.
Super, right? One or more catch blocks, right? But I told that one try block should have at least one catch block. Without this catch block, this is an error, or this will raise the program will be terminated abruptly, right? So every try block should have a corresponding catch block, at least one catch block, and it may have more than one catch blocks. So let us say that it is catch 1. You should not write it as catch 1 catch 2, right? Why? Because catch is a keyword. And let us say there is another catch also. So there exists some set of code which can handle the exception. But when the throw is throwing an exception, whether this catch is activated or this catch is activated, which catch is going to be activated? Any idea?
So once repeat, sir.
So when an exception is thrown at the try block, I'm saying that the exception is going to be handled in the catch block. But let us assume in this case, let us assume that we have two catch blocks, one try block with two catch blocks. So when a exception is thrown from the try block, whether it is going to be caught by this exception catch block or this catch block, any idea?
First one, sir.
Huh?
First catch block, sir.
Right. So you are saying that it is the first catch block, right? So it is not the correct answer. But the reason is I have hidden some important data here. The data is, listen carefully. So you are going to throw an exception. So what is an exception? It can be a primitive data type also, right? So you can throw a primitive data type, or you can throw an object like that. So you can throw a primitive data type, or you can throw a user defined data types like the objects of a class. So when you are throwing, for example, what are the examples of primitive data type? What are the examples of primitive? Super, right? Int, float, and char. Let us forget about these objects. Throwing objects is also acceptable in C++, but let us take the primitive data type. For example, I am throwing an integer data. I am throwing a data type which is of type integer. Let us take int I here. So what is I here? It is an integer data type. And what is that I am throwing here?
Primitive data type, sir.
Integer data type. So the catch should have a parameter which should catch that thrown exception or thrown primitive data type, whatever it may be, right? So the point you have to remember here is the throw should be followed by a primitive data type or an object. First point. And the second point is the catch should be written as if it is a function. So the catch should have parameters. So once you have this parameter, the corresponding catch block will be activated, right? So catch of int of I. So what happens here? And let us say that here I have the catch float of f. Now tell me, it is now clear, right? So when I throw an exception from the try block, which catch block is going to be executed? Is it the catch block 1 or catch block 2?
Both, sir.
It is 1, right? Why? Because you are throwing an integer primitive data type and the corresponding parameter for this catch block 1 is having the parameter as integer. Therefore this catch block will be activated. For example, assume that this I is not integer. Assume that it is float. Now tell me what this throw is throwing and tell me which catch block is executed.
Second catch block, sir.
Right. Throw is throwing a floating point primitive data type. So the corresponding parameter is defined inside this catch block 2. So this is going to catch the exception and the solution will be given under this catch block 2. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Simple. Let us give me a brief idea on this exception handling. So C++ exception handling is mainly based on 3 keywords: the try, catch, and throw. Try block is a set of statements or a block of code where the exceptions are activated. So once you have the exceptions activated, you should throw the exception. So throwing the exception will be done by using the keyword throw, which is placed inside the try block. So once you identify the exception, you should throw that exception. Therefore the try and throw will be combined. So the try block consists of one statement as the throw statement, a throw keyword. So once the exception has been thrown by the throw keyword, now the control will completely jump from the throw keyword to the catch block, to the corresponding catch block. So corresponding catch block means the catch block is also a set of statements or a block of code which is used to handle the exceptions. So you write some set of statements which can take some measures to handle those exceptions, right? So simple thing is try is to activate, throw is to throw the exception, catch is to handle the exception. Simple points. Try is to activate the exception, throw is to throw the exception, and catch is to handle the exception. That's it. You please remember these three terms. And one important term regarding, or one important point regarding this try catch block is every try block should have at least one catch block. And another point you should remember is we can have more than one catch blocks. With these points in our mind, shall we move to the other concepts, other slides?
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow I am going to ask you what is this try, catch and block. Try, catch and throw, right? You should
Okay,
say
sir.
the simple statements. Try is to activate the exception, throw is to throw the exception, and catch is to handle the exception. That's it. Right.
Okay, sir.
So this is the same thing we have discussed in the earlier slide. Assuming a block will raise an exception, a method catches an exception using a combination of try catch keywords. Right. So when you have an exception, it should be thrown and that should be caught by catch block. So a try catch block is placed around the code that might generate an exception. So whenever you have a doubt that that particular set of instructions will generate an exception, so you put these try catch blocks around that particular set of code, then you can easily handle such type of exceptions, right? And code within a try catch block is referred to as the protected code, right? So whatever block of statements you write inside this try, they are referred to as the protected code. Why means you are protecting from the exceptions, right? So this is the generalized syntax for any try catch blocks, right? So remember that try is just a keyword which does not have any parameters, right? So you write simply as try followed by the curly braces, and the set of statements are a block of code that should have, that the programmer is having doubt that it will raise an exception. You put it inside this try block. Therefore we call it as a protected code, right? Or you can call it as the try block also, nothing wrong in it. So and the try should be followed by the catch statements. You cannot write any statements in between this try catch, remember that, right? So the catch is a keyword, and you can observe here that catch is written similar to that of a function which accepts one parameter. So that parameter is, we call it as the exception name followed by some variable type of thing, right? So it is going to handle this exception name, right? And we write this catch block, we end here, and any number of catch blocks can be followed by this catch block. Any number of things you can write. The point here you have to remember is, so this catch block, this one is going to handle one exception, right? It is going to handle one type of exception, and this is going to handle second type of exception, and this is going to handle third type of exception, right? So we have the handling mechanisms, separate handling mechanisms for each and every block, right? We have a one catch block to handle the integer exception, and this is for float, and let me assume that this is for object. So 3 different handlers for 3 different catches. But where I am going to generate the exceptions, where the exception is activated,
Try, sir.
Try block.
in the try block, right? Super, right? In the try block. So you can have a set of instructions that can arise the first type of exception, or that can arise the second type of exception, or that can arise the third type of exception. So any number of exceptions you can put it in a single try block. Listen, this is very important point. Any number of exceptions you are expecting, you can put everything inside this single try block. But when you want to handle those exceptions, you have to separately write the handling code with separate catch blocks. Is it clear? Any number of exceptions, single try block, but every different exception should be handled by different catch blocks, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And these are the different types of exceptions we have. So we may study different other types of exceptions also, but from this particular point of slide, from this slide, we have basically 2 types of exceptions. One is the synchronous exceptions, and the second one is the asynchronous exceptions, right? And remember, very important point that I'd like to stress here is, whatever exception handling mechanisms that we are discussing here in C++, everything comes with the synchronous, everything comes under the synchronous exceptions only, right? So the exception handling mechanisms which we are going to discuss here in C++ will not do anything. They have nothing to do with the asynchronous exceptions. Asynchronous exceptions are related to the hardware type. Hardware exceptions are called as asynchronous exceptions, right? So what do you mean by synchronous? Is it clear, the point which I have told recently? So the exception handling mechanisms are designed only to deal with the synchronous exceptions. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's what we are going to discuss. Exception handling mechanism can handle only synchronous errors. This one. And these exceptions are handled by try catch block. So if somebody asks you, somebody has given a code like this regarding this try catch blocks. They have given a code snippet consisting of try catch block. And if he asks you to tell whether to which exception category this particular snippet will come, means by looking at the try catch block you can blindly say that that particular code snippet belongs to synchronous exception, right? So synchronous exceptions are handled using the try catch blocks. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right. So they have a termination model. That means whenever we have try, it has the termination model. What this termination model says is, once the control is thrown from the try block, it will never return back to the try block, right? So how can you throw an exception?
By throw keyword.
Super, right? By using the throw keyword. So once you throw the keyword, listen carefully, once you throw the exception by using the throw keyword, the control will jump to which one? The control will jump to which block?
Catch block.
Catch block, right? So it will throw, when you throw the exception using the throw keyword, the control will jump to the corresponding catch block, and the catch block will be executed and it will be exited. That's it. So it will never come back to the try block. That is called as a termination model. So you are going to throw the exception and the throw the control, and you are going to get it and you are going to execute the catch block, and then you are going to exit. Never ever the control comes back to try block again. So you should be very careful, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now coming to the asynchronous type of exceptions, right? So it cannot be handled by the exceptional handling mechanisms in C++. Right, exception handling mechanisms are only related to the synchronous type of exceptions, and the hardware failures can be treated under this category. As I told that the asynchronous exceptions are categorized for the hardware type of exceptions, right? If we have any errors related to the hard disk failure, and if you have any errors related to the keyboard or keyboard interrupts or printer error, all these are nothing but the hardware errors. So these hardware errors or hardware exceptions come under the category of asynchronous exceptions. We are not going to deal with these asynchronous exceptions, right? We are only dealing with the synchronous exceptions where we have these try catch blocks. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. And why this exception handling, right? So you might have a question that, sir, are there any is there any error handling mechanisms to handle these errors? Means yes, we have the error handling mechanisms, right? We can make use of the if else code also, right? But what happens in this if else code means what happens if you use the if else code for handling the errors? Everything appears to be as a normal program, right? So the if else construct is basically used for constructing a program. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
So if you include the error code by using this if else code or by using this if else construct, so it also appears to be as if it is a normal code. So there is no clear distinction between the error code and the normal code. So in order to have a clear distinction between the normal code and the error code, this particular exception handling mechanisms plays very important role, right? So there will be very clear separation from the error handling code and the normal code. Thereby the programmer will have a clean code. Thereby the programmer can have a clean code, right? He can easily identify what is done in the error handling code and what is done in the actual normal code. So this clear distinction makes the program readable. It will increase the readability of the program. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. So second one is why we require this exception handling means functions or methods can handle any exceptions they choose, right? So for example, if we have 5 different exceptions, and out of those 5 exceptions you may take a choice that you can handle only a few of the exception. That means you may take a choice that only 3 exceptions can be handled by using the catch blocks. And one more thing you can remember here is you can make use of the functions, or you can make use of the concept of functions to handle the exceptions also. That we will see it with an example also, right? So we can make use of the functions to handle those exceptions. So by making use of those functions, which are very familiar concepts in the C programming language, we can simply handle these exceptions, right? And as I told that you can always have a choice of which exception can be handled and which can be left. But the programmers or the experts say that you never ever leave the exception without handling. That is what the programmers is suggesting, right? So when you know that an exception is going to be activated, you should throw it and you should handle it. That's it. So never make a choice of leaving some of the exceptions like that, right? So you should definitely have to handle the exceptions. And similarly, the last one is grouping of error types. So you can group the errors based upon the type of errors you get, right? For example, you can group all the integer type of exceptions into one group and all the floating type of exceptions into another group. Like that, there is a possibility to group the errors, but if this exception handling mechanism is not there, you cannot even separate the error handling code with the normal code, right? So the grouping of error types is one of the premier reasons why we go for the exception handling. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So here is one example of exception handling. You are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this time I am not going to make use of the classes. I just want to demonstrate the concept of try catch. That's it, right? So we know what this IO stream is, we know what this STD is, and what is that I have taken here? What is the first statement in the main?
Declaration, sir.
It's a declaration statement where I have declared a variable called x and initialized it to -1, right? So you write some code here, I am not bothered about it. So before try, so this will be executed. Let me take the output also, right? Output will be, first it will execute before try. So after executing, it is going to execute the try block. So within try block, what I have written, the first statement is cout inside try. Therefore assume that the output also consists of this inside try. Now coming to the condition, see here carefully. If x is less than 0, is this condition true or false? If x is less than 0, is this condition true or false, right? -1 is less than 0, condition becomes true, right? You are entering into the if block, and immediately after entering into the if block, you have a statement called throw x. So what is the value it is throwing?
-1, sir.
-1. That means it comes under the category of integer data type. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
So once the compiler comes across this throw statement, the control will jump from that statement to the corresponding catch block. So we have only one catch block defined here. So this catch block, so why this catch block is going to execute? Why? Because the parameter that is accepted by the catch block is the integer data type, which is matching with the variable or the value that is thrown at the throw keyword, right? So x is an integer variable and I have the parameter as int x. So this catch block will be executed, right? So what is that it is going to execute? This statement, cout exception caught, and after this it is going to go in this sequential flow. So it will execute the cout statement after catch. Will be executed, right? So you can observe here that when you throw an exception, here it is not an exception, right? I am just throwing an integer value, but you can throw the exceptions also, you can throw the objects also. So just to have a demonstration on how this try, throw and catch is going to work, I have just taken, the other has just taken the example of throwing an integer value, right? So have you ever seen the execution of this statement? Is this statement executed?
No, sir.
No, right? So this statement is never executed. That is what I told, right? See here. So it is going to handle the termination model. Termination model means once the control is thrown from the try block, the control never returns back. So you can see it here. when you throw the exception or when you throw the value, it is going to execute the catch block and it is going to exit from the program, right? It is not going to execute whatever statements that are written outside that is below the throw statement. So this is called as a termination model. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Right. So if it is clear, we just put our discussion to an end for this session. Why? Because tomorrow we are going to discuss very important points regarding the exception handling, right? So we have around 9 points which we need to discuss about these exception handling mechanisms, 9 important points. So whatever I have kept it in the green mark here, we have everything with the programming example. So I will explain everything with the programming examples. So this particular topic requires an entire session. So for this reason I am just stopping our discussion for this session. So let me have a quick recap of what we have studied or what we have discussed in today's class, right? So what is that we have started with? Please be active. What is that we have started with?
Try catch through keywords, sir.
Right. First we have started our discussion with the definition of the exception and what are the keywords on which the exception handling mechanism is based upon. It is try, catch and block. Try is a block of statements where the exception is activated. Throw is a keyword which is used to throw the exception, and catch is a block of code which can handle the exception. These 3 points are very important, and the second important point is every try block should have a corresponding catch block. At least one catch block should be there. And the third point is we can have more than one catch block. So with this we have already discussed the various types of exceptions. What are the 2 types of exceptions we have discussed?
Synchronous, asynchronous, sir.
Synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means those are the exceptions which we deal with the exception handling mechanisms, or otherwise you can also say that the exception handling mechanisms in C++ will be dealing with only the synchronous exceptions. So if we have the try catch block, it comes under the category of synchronous exceptions, and these synchronous exceptions work on the termination model. Means once the control is thrown from the try block, it will never return to the try block, right? It will go and execute the corresponding catch block and then it will exit from the program. And coming to the asynchronous exceptions, these exceptions does not be handled or cannot be handled using the exception handling mechanisms which we are going to discuss right now, right? And these can be treated as the hardware failures or hardware errors. So if you have any error in the keyboard, if you have any error in the mouse, or if you have any disk failure is there, such type of exceptions we will come under the category of asynchronous exceptions. We are not going to deal with the asynchronous exceptions. And finally we have seen one programming example on this synchronous exception. So we have taken one x variable, initialize it to -1, and we have taken a try block, and within the try block I just throwed that x variable which is having an integer value, and the corresponding catch block will be executed and it will execute the statements present inside the catch block, and it will continue its flow till it reaches the closing brace of the main, right? So it will never execute the statements which are written after the throw statement. This is very important point. That is what the termination model is, right? So by this we will close the session. So this is end of today's session. Thank you one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.